Hey guys and girls, this is Cam Byrne and welcome to the Fistbump Podcast. Today we've got Brock McRobb, MMA fighter out of Hammer's Gym in Nunawading. So I've known Brock for about 3 years now and it's hard to believe that someone so humble and quiet is also a professional MMA fighter. We had a great chat about where he grew up and what environment, his injuries over the years, the difference between his traditional Muay Thai roots and his new MMA focus, and lots of other things. It's an amazing story and awesome to hear about his fighter's mentality, what he's proud of, and his general outlook to the fight game. Hope you all enjoy it. Right, so I've got Brock here. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Very good. How's everything been?
Yeah, great.
It's a bit funny walking in here and not realising that you've confused me with another Cameron, but...
Yeah, that was a bit funny. But a pleasant surprise, actually.
Yeah, I haven't seen you for a bit now.
Yeah, 6 months.
Would it be? I came down here 2 weeks ago because I was meant to record one with Dion, but I think he had to head off, so I ended up just having a bit of roll. I was hoping that I'd see you here, but unfortunately, because you're always working here, so I thought maybe there was an off chance that I was going to see you, but unfortunately not.
Yeah. I do get a little bit more time away here and there now because we've got another work here now, so that's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for those that don't actually know who you are, do you want to give a bit of background about who you are at the moment? We'll kind of go through about how you started your MMA, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu kind of journey and stuff.
Yeah, sure. Basically, I'm from Townsville in Queensland, and that's where I initially started mixed martial arts. So I had 5 amateur MMA fights out of Queensland. And
when was this? When did you start?
2008, 2009. So I started competition out of Townsville, where I grew up and where I'm from. After that initial period, I moved up to Darwin, where from then I pursued kickboxing and Muay Thai. So I did about 13 fights out of Darwin.
Professional?
Yes. Then shortly after, a few years later, I moved down to...
Can I just clarify, you started with MMA and then went to Muay Thai?
Yes.
What was that like?
It was great. I just wanted to get knockouts.
No way.
Yeah. And my first 3 were all knockouts, so I was wrapped. It was great.
So you'd trained MMA. Did you just jump in a ring and give it a shot?
I did MMA for the first couple of 2 to 3 years in Townsville, then moved up to Darwin and jumped straight into the kickboxing Muay Thai.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
And you had 14 fights pro Muay Thai?
Out of Darwin, yes. Yeah. And half of those we flew down to Melbourne to fight on shows down here, because obviously Darwin didn't have a whole lot to offer with shows. Yeah. And
so Townsville, is a pretty big kickboxing culture in Queensland though, isn't there?
There is. In saying that, I was always keen to get involved in the kickboxing and do kickboxing and Muay Thai fights. However, my team weren't so on board with that idea and were all about MMA. So I stuck with them and just did MMA there.
Gotcha.
And that's what sort of drove me towards heading up north. Apart from my brother moving up there as well to do his PhD, I've also moved to Melbourne with him as well. So it's just...
Is that Rowan or is it
Evan? Twin. Yeah.
It was really awkward because he's your identical twin, correct? Is he just your brother?
Identical twin.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I saw him one day. I was like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" And I didn't realise, and it was really awkward.
Yeah. That actually happens a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think he came to a class or something like that, and I was like, "Oh, you look a little bit different."
Yeah.
Like you're identical, but not.
Oh, it happens.
Fully identical.
It happens in the city. It happens anywhere. Someone will start looking at you for a longer period of time, and then you sort of look at them funny, and then they take it as a bit of a snub me a little bit. But
Exactly.
You don't even know, so.
I'm not going to ask like the typical question like, did you switch each other's in class and stuff like. I'm sure there was like some stuff, but it's a pretty typical kind of scenario for identical twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, so you were in Darwin for a few years, did a bit of kickboxing.
Yeah, and then my brother moved down to Melbourne to study at Melbourne Uni for medicine, to be a doctor, and it was just the right time to move as well for me, and it just worked out to be a bit of a perfect storm with Hammers, because it was going through a transition from being a smaller gym to a bigger gym, and I could jump on board right before that happened and help out as much as I could with that.
Was that the one down the road?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what, about 4 years ago? 5?
No, 3.5.
Yeah,
not long ago.
Actually, yeah, you're right. Really that long.
Yeah.
So you actually only came down here just when he was starting, like maybe a few months before?
2 months, yeah.
And did you know that he was moving, and did he kind of scope you out to try and to help?
How I first talked to Hammer, I was fighting on one of Peter Hatton's shows. It was called Moment of Truth. And I had a good win that night, and I was really happy with it, and I noticed that Hammer was commentating, so I went and had a chat to him and just asked him how it looked and everything, some feedback.
Yeah.
And that's how the initial connection happened, and then basically I was sort of in a weird spot, sort of looking to move, and that's when I just texted him on Facebook and had some phone conversations and went from there. So that's how that started. And that was basically
a job interview, because did you come down here and start working for Hammer straight away?
Not straight away. I came down just looking to train and just be managed with the fighting. Just continue fighting. And then from there I was here a lot, so did the whole process and started working here too. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, so what year was it when you moved into Melbourne? So that was 3.5 years ago.
2015. Yeah.
And you hadn't moved here, but you'd obviously come down here for fights, but you'd never lived here before.
I'd been down here a lot, but just for fights and weekends and stuff. Nothing long term.
Yeah. Was that what you expected? So you probably come down here quite a bit anyway. Yeah, you probably would have come down here a fair bit anyway to fight in Melbourne anyway. So you probably would have got a bit of an understanding about what the culture was and been familiar with it.
Yeah, it was quite good. You know, at the start coming down, it was a bit cold. Still is. Yeah. I love the tropicals. I love the tropics. Just love it. Yeah. It's a bit cold here.
It's funny though, man, because I was trying to think about what to talk to you about on the podcast, and I was like, when I first met you, you're such a quiet, I wouldn't say introverted person, but very quiet, respectful. I said the same thing to Chris Shen when I had him last week. You wouldn't expect that you could kick most people's ass, like people that obviously don't have any training, and it's really weird to kind of have someone that's quiet, respectful, but could also impose their will on you if they really wanted to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe that's the case with a lot of people, though. You see that a lot in martial arts, right? The quiet, more introverted types sometimes do turn out to be the more killer types. It's good.
Yeah. And it's also, at least with jiu-jitsu, I notice a lot of people are kind of nerdy, and then they learn, it's almost like a bit of a chess match, so it's almost like you're mindfully trying to close down all the options the other person has, and that's what's attractive to them. They realise that if they actually can get the technique right, they can control and submit people that are bigger than them. And there's a really weird attraction to nerdier people doing that. Sometimes you get that kind of athletic wrestling kind of person who just cartwheels over you and all that kind of stuff, but it's weird that it kind of attracts all type of people. You don't really get real jerks or anything like that, though, because I think it kind of gets beaten out of you a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure there are gyms that do get their jerks, etc. But yeah, it's great here. It's great. Every jiu-jitsu club I've been to, it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
In my experience anyway.
So what ended up getting you into a martial art, like combative sport, like Muay Thai, MMA, all that kind of stuff? Was there a particular event, or was it a kind of environment of you growing up, or what?
Yeah, growing up, it's self-defense was a bit of a priority of mine. Coming from Townsville, we went to a public school. It was a little bit rough. There's a lot of kids these days who get bullied, and I wasn't an exception to that. I think I was in year 10, I think. So I was just bordering on 15, and there was I think 16s and 17-year-olds. They got bullied a little bit, and I just I always sort of just let it happen, but always got to me. Yeah. So I'd always want to have that self-defense aspect. So I just remember probably my biggest memory of it is one day they started targeting my brother, and then I just lost it, and I was just wanted to kill them, and they could see that too, and they actually backed down. So that was awesome. So from there, I just started hitting the bag a bit, and just wanting to get more involved in it, so I could
defend yourself.
Yeah.
And also have the confidence to be able to say stop doing that, and have the physical and technical kind of skills to be able to stop it if you needed to as well.
And look after friends and relatives, etc. as well. So that was a big sort of driving force, and all throughout even primary school I was always getting into fights. Even even some street fights after high school as well. So it's it's always come in handy. So it just sort of led the obsession from there.
Man, it's crazy though, because like coming from someone like for me, I've been lucky enough that with the exception of one night when everyone was drunk and it was like just one of my mates got beaten up, and so we went out and tried to take out his mates, and like it was a big thing, and police came, pepper sprayed everything. Besides that, I've never been in an actual fight before. I've been close to it. I've been shoved, and you kind of back down, like either both of you back down, security gets involved, something like that. It's foreign to me, like when I hear about like UFC fighters or even yourself, like being bullied to the point, or kind of growing up in an environment where that's just not accepted, but it's just a part of life. You know what I mean? Like it probably wouldn't have been unexpected for you to get into a fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's just about the area, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, Townsville was definitely one of those places. Yeah.
Yeah, and in a public school, and 15-year-olds and testosterone going through your body, and it's like,
yeah. That school that I went to had a few problems.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Did you ever speak? Have you ever spoken to the bully since then, or was it just like one of those things where it's like, I'm never going to engage with this person again?
A couple of years later, I saw him out here and there, but yeah, not really engaged. Nah.
Yeah.
So yeah, sort of. There's nothing else to be said, really. So
yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. But it's also like it's developed you into the person you are and into the sport that you love and everything. So as much as obviously you don't wish it on anyone, it's one of those things that it's probably developed your character and your personality into a certain route. You can't really be angry at that.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about your head injury.
Yes.
Because this is what, 2 years ago? 2.5? Because I think this club...
2.5.
Yeah, because we'd just opened up... the new Hammers facility just opened up.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd been here for about 6 months or so, roughly. Maybe a little bit more. And then you'd shaved your head, you had a hat on, and you're like, look at this gnarly scar, and you took your hat off, and you had something literally from ear to ear, like for people that can't actually see, I'm drawing over my head, and it was this crazy scar with how many stitches?
It was about 65 staples. Actually.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you could fit 65 staples across a head.
Yeah, it was pretty. Sucked getting them out as well, but
So can you, for those that don't know, tell the story of how that actually happened, because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, so I'd had a couple of fights for Hammer so far, and we were going into another fight. It was actually, what's his name? Jacob Jelston. So he flew up from Tassie, so he was state champion for Tassie. Tough guy, muscly as hell, big traps on him.
Yep.
Southpaw. So we fought him on an Ultimate Promotions show over in Westside, Westmarket Hotel, I think. And the fight went okay. I got a win on that night. But at some point during the second round, he just had a step through rear elbow, obviously off his left side because he was southpaw. That just hit me quite hard in the forehead, and it didn't wobble me. I just felt the blunt force, and I thought, that's okay. So I just went on, finished the fight, and afterwards, obviously, all the adrenaline's going. I'm feeling great because I won. I'm happy, and I'm in the bathroom having a shower at the back of the venue, and I just remember sitting on the toilet and just thinking my head is pounding. Like, this hurts, it's just radiating, and it was all inflamed. So I thought I must have just clocked me with an elbow. So we went out to Crown, and eating food and whatever, and it just doesn't stop hurting. I'm like, that sucks, and so the next couple of days, we just, chilling out, eating like you do post-fight. And my forehead was still swollen, and I'd blow my nose, and it was just all this black liquid that kept coming out.
Black liquid?
Yeah, it's like dark brown black. And I was like, oh, that's funny.
Oh my God.
I don't know why this is happening. Like, that's right. During the fight, I had a runny nose, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel like he punched my nose. This is weird. But it was actually fluid coming from like inside my head.
No way.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, he didn't hit me in the nose. This is bullshit. Why is there blood coming out? So the runny nose thing happened for another couple of days. So it was just constantly this fluid coming out. And it's funny because I showed my brother, and he's just like, oh, must be a runny nose.
Isn't he studying to be a doctor?
Yeah. Yeah. Not worrying at all.
Yeah, don't tell us what his practice is. No one's going to get any business there.
Yeah, so after a few days, the runny nose stopped, which is fantastic. So I'm back into training that week, hungry to fight again. And I'm clinching, and something wrong with my head. So this is about a week later. So I walk into the toilets at Hammers, and during training, because I felt something was weird. And I looked at myself in the mirror, and I can see a dent in my head.
Like your forehead?
Yeah, like a hole, yeah. And it's actually just above my left eyebrow. So I'm like, geez, what's that? Is that like coming out or going in? And then I could put my finger inside it. So I just put my finger inside my head. I'm just like, oh no, like my head's broken. So,
my head is broken.
So
oh my god,
that was an instant bummer. I was just like, oh, something's wrong. So I went to the scanning place, and because they barely ever see stuff like this, they were very like, yeah, no, it's probably nothing, whatever. So they scanned it MRI, and then
so they don't regularly see blunt trauma to the head, or the fact that people with that normally come in. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, probably not, because I walked in fine, and I told them that my head's caved in.
Gotcha.
and then
they were just like, yeah, okay,
yeah.
Let's check this out.
Sure, you probably just bumped your head, yeah. Like a lot of people do, probably. So then I walk out of the MRI, and he's just like, yeah, geez, it's a break. We got to get you emergency straight away. So good on Medicare, free treatment, free surgery, free pills, yeah. So,
really?
Yeah, no time off work either. I went in over a weekend.
And so how do they have to put a metal plate in?
Yeah, metal plate, yeah.
No, so how big?
I don't know, just in here.
So kind of like a 50-cent piece, kind of maybe a little bit bigger?
A bit bigger, yeah. But it stays in permanently now.
And so they had to cut across the head from ear to ear, going along the top.
Yeah.
Separate, like kind of reset it again, like almost like peel the skin back or something like that?
They pull all the way down. Like, think of like Face Off, but they don't go all the way down.
It's a horrible movie.
Yeah. Just like that sort of, yeah. So I went in over the weekend. Unfortunately, missed out on the Warriors Way show. The boys were fighting that night, so that sucked. I hate sleeping in hospitals. It just sucks. They just taking endones, just the feeling of being awake in the middle of the night. Really sick after the steroid treatment too. Sucked. But yeah, it took me a few months to get back into sparring after that. And then I think within 10 months I was back in the ring fighting on a Rebellion show. So it was great to get back pretty soon.
Man, it's crazy though, because there's so many people that might take that injury and just go, I think that's the sign that I should stop. But like, you're just like, I can't wait to get back in there. Yeah. And even like when you were just describing the fight and you were just saying like, spinning, like what was it, a reverse elbow southpaw?
Is that what you said? It was just a straightforward elbow.
Straightforward elbow,
yeah,
okay.
Step through. Imagine he's throwing a rear cross with his rear hand. Yep. Imagine just the elbow instead of the hand. That's
but when the way you described it, you're like, oh yeah, I gotta just keep fighting through that. It's like, that's not a typical person's reaction when they get hit with an elbow.
Yeah.
It takes you know what I mean? Like, it takes a special kind of person to be able to take that kind of punishment and just like not even think. It's just a reaction to just keep going forward and push through it.
Yeah, well, I didn't know though. I didn't know that there was a break, but yeah, I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to being hurt. Like I've had fights before where my shoulders come out, and it's out of its socket. I've hidden it from the ref, just kept moving around, getting battered, and then it went back in, and I managed to come back and get a KO. That was awesome. And it would have sucked if I didn't get that win, because obviously dislocated shoulders suck as well. So just being able to get the win after having bad injuries like that sort of takes away the pain of having the injury.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic, because I would have been very depressed if I had lost either of those fights with the injury that happened. And it's just lucky that I've had to been able to pull myself together and come back.
That like to like a normal person in the street, like myself, like I'm to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and there's a threat of shoulders popping out and wrists and knees and hips and all the other stuff, but just that is mentally ridiculously tough. Like, to have a shoulder pop out and just go, I'm just going to try and not fight through it, but sort of like see if I can click it back in, and then just so I can keep back in the fight. Like, it just shows the dedication to you wanting to actually get that win. Like, I know you said stubborn, but I'd be saying like competitive. You know what I mean? Yeah,
the initial, like the shoulder incident, when it came out, the initial panic was, oh my god, I might lose this. This ref's gonna see this. Oh my god.
Instead of, oh my god, I'm in pain, it's, I might lose this.
Oh, well, the adrenaline takes care of it anyway. But but just incredibly lucky that it came back in its socket and I could carry on. And he sort of spent all his pennies trying to finish me as well because he still was hurt, so it was good.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So how many MMA fights have you had in total now? Because you were saying 3 in Townsville, 13 Muay Thai fights in Cairns.
Yeah,
Darwin. Darwin, sorry. And then you came down to Melbourne and you've had some since then.
Yeah, all up for the kickboxing and Muay Thai, I've had 17 fights for 14 wins. And for the MMA, I've had 7 fights all up for 5 wins.
5 wins.
Yeah, so I've been, I haven't always had the best matchups from, previous fights, but I've always done my best and come through sometimes when the odds were against me. So it's just that sort of stubbornness and that sort of determination, I guess, that got me through a lot of the time. When a fighter might be technically better than me, but I've beaten them more times than not because I wanted to win more. I guess.
The strong mindset. Because some other people might take that shoulder popping out as a sign of, okay, well, it's probably time for me to finish. But you take it as a sign of, like, I've got to fight through it until this pops back in, just so that I can win. Yeah, just chaos. I guess you don't know what you're thinking, but I've seen other fighters go through the same thing and come out the other end good. It's just Frankie Edgar.
Yeah,
just
good example.
Freak. Like, just unbelievable mindset.
Yeah.
What's it like going out into a cage though? Like, because again, I'm speaking from my own lack of experience. That would be the most nerve-wracking thing. Like, you're literally being locked into a cage with someone else who's... It's not like... I'd be terrified if it was a random person on the street. My weight and height and, everything. And even with my skill set. To go out against someone who's purposely training... I know maybe not... Like, obviously it's not like a UFC event where they know your perfect skill set and they've got a camp dedicated to you and stuff. But to be going into a ring closed off with someone that their intent is to knock you out or... put you into a hold so bad that you're going to stop. Like, are you nervous? Because you almost take it like it's a matter of fact. Are you anticipating it? Is it like, calm, nervous, excited? You know what I mean?
Excited would be the main thing. Just because it's a contest. It's a challenge. It's it's an unknown.
Yeah.
It's even though you're almost positive you're gonna win every fight, you're in a good mindset, there's still an unknown. There's anything can happen, especially in MMA. It's a lot more controlled in there's with MMA compared to kickboxing or a ring. MMA, there's 100 extra ways you can win. There's also 100 extra ways you can lose. So it's a lot more unpredictable, and that's why you can see a lot of people, including myself, moving from a stand-up sport to MMA, a lot of mixed results, it's not everyone has sort of perfect records like boxing, etc. So but that's just a part of the fun of it, just the unknown, excitement. Do you have
any pre-rituals before you go out? Did the Helio Gracie train or anything like that? I think you did something similar to that with Mark, didn't you?
That's more of Mark's custom he's had for a while. And and that's great. It helps get you in a good, healthy mindset. In terms of pre-fight rituals, nothing sort of set in, but also the rituals change because going from Muay Thai, obviously we wear the Mongkon, do the ring blessings, etc. MMA, where you can just sort of do what you want. But on the topic of how you feel before a fight, it's as most fighters would tell you as well. Being in the back room, there's a nervous, tense energy in the back room that everyone has. Was obviously, if you're not nervous before a fight, there's might be something wrong with you.
But you find it as like anticipation rather than like, fuck, about to go in here, it's gonna be bad. Like you're ready for it almost. It kind of gets you pumped up.
But it's still that sort of nervous type of energy though. But when you step on the stage, when you have more than 5 people looking at you, when it turns into hundreds of people, it all goes out the window. You don't feel any of it, and it's just all you feel good, you feel pumped, you feel great, and there's no way. It's like. Do
you think you're addicted to it?
Of course, Of course, it's of course it's an addictive thing, when you haven't got haven't had a fight in a little while now, and I'm just getting that
urge
to get that feeling back, because it's just you can't bottle it.
Well, what's it like when you win? Like, that's just stepping into the cage when you like to challenge yourself against someone else of equal or maybe even better technical ability, but when you beat them and you, like, let's just say, like, when you had the shoulder popped out, you're just like, oh man, I'm gonna fight this through, and then it pops back and you're like, okay, at least I'm back in the game again, and then you win.
Yeah. Oh, that was special. That was one of the best ones. Yeah. Just afterwards I was mad. Yeah.
And you're gonna be pretty proud of yourself that you pushed through it.
Oh yeah. It's just lucky. I'm gonna say lucky. That's what it was. Yeah.
Something that you kind of said before as well, which is something that I've spoken to Dragon about a few times. That's my uncle, for those that don't know. The difference between like a traditional martial, or actually not even martial art, if you look like 20 years ago and someone, or not, maybe 30 years ago, and someone got punched and they get knocked to the ground, it's almost like, don't do that again. Like, it's almost like there was no follow-up when someone's on the ground. It was almost like not a gentleman's fight, but almost like it was like a boxing kind of match. Someone gets hit, someone goes down, it's like, that'll show you. But with MMA and the kind of mainstream part of that, and it's almost like they're on the ground, go for it, go for the kill kind of thing, it kind of loses that traditional martial arts aspect. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at it isolated with like Muay Thai or boxing, the person goes down, you step away, get them back up, or they stay down. Jiu-Jitsu, it's like follow up, but there's no striking involved, at least not unless you're talking about Tudo or something like that. But MMA, because of the highly publicized nature of it, and they go down, and it's like, yes, you can go for the submission, but you can also go in for the ground and pound elbows from the top and just inflict punishment on the other person so they want to quit. You know what I mean? What do you reckon about that kind of stuff? It's something that I've spoken about a lot because my uncles come from a traditional martial arts karate background, but it's a very different mentality with MMA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. It's got this different element to it because of that, and it does make it a little bit more blurred lines and messy. But it's the mixed martial arts cage. It's almost like one of the truer forms of combat, because you can go in and obviously the arts that are a little bit less effective or they get exposed. Yeah. And hence why the more prominent arts have survived and become more prominent, such as Muay Thai, such as BJJ, such as boxing. I know, and it's one of those things you kind of see also, like Shaolin monks and stuff like that still going in there, and they're just so unprepared for someone who's actually got a well-rounded skill set. It doesn't have to be a professional sometimes. It can just be an amateur MMA person. I mean, for those that don't know anything about Jiu-Jitsu or MMA, go onto YouTube and look up karate versus BJJ or karate versus Muay Thai as well. Sometimes get some interesting results, but it's like sometimes people aren't aware of how ineffective their martial art is until they're like, if you've got even a basic level of BJJ, sometimes stand-up's enough. Like, if you think about the evolution of MMA as it was, BJJ won out in the early stages because no one knew how to handle it. Then wrestlers started coming in and going, you're not taking me down, and then they brawled it out. Then you started getting Muay Thai guys coming in going, okay, well, I can't take you down, so I'm going to start chopping your legs out and, elbows as well. And now it's going to go to more traditional. Now you get those three, and now it's more traditional martial arts like karate and taekwondo, and with unorthodox kicks, spinning back kicks, all that kind of stuff. If you think like 5 years ago, that wasn't even a possibility. People were doing spinning back kicks to the head, like Edson Barbosa and Tim Means, I think it was. It's that evolution's crazy. Yeah, these days you have to be good at everything. Like 10, 15 years ago, you could get away with it being sort of
a specialist.
Yeah. It's like these days you've got to be good at everything. Yeah.
How are you enjoying BJJ at the moment? Both from like true BJJ in terms of like traditional gi on, all that kind of stuff, but also how it's integrated into your MMA stuff.
It's been a fresh change because I spent a number of years just with stand-up competition, just Muay Thai, kickboxing. So moving into doing wrestling and BJJ after such a long time without it, it's just a refresher. It feels great.
Were you doing BJJ training up in Townsville?
Yeah, for a couple of years, yes.
But it was wrestling and MMA focused BJJ?
I never put on a gi.
Okay.
I didn't know what a gi felt like.
No way.
It's
a whole new world, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a lot hotter too. Yeah,
yeah, you guys have got good aircon here. That's all right. But it's also like people have actually got grips, and you can't get away with shitty technique. Like, and that's not meant disrespectfully. Like, if you're in a no-gi situation, you can get out of like little holes here and there. Like, if they give you a centimeter, you can turn that into 5 centimeters. You can turn that into a foot. You can turn that into an escape kind of thing. But in a gi, they've got grips on you, and sometimes it's unrealistic compared to like an MMA kind of scenario, but it still means that your passing has to be sharp and your escapes from the bottom have to be sharp and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah, and as my coach Dion says, it tightens up your no-gi game just training in gi as well.
Yeah.
So there's benefits to be had from training gi as well. And you know what? If you're getting a little bit, grips are blown out and you're getting a bit, over gi for 1 week, just do no gi. That's a great thing about it. You can swap in between the two. You can't really do that with a lot of other things, so it's good.
What do you reckon about the pace between BJJ and Muay Thai? Because like one of the things that was difficult for me was I started off in BJJ, and it's a very slow pace, particularly in the gi, because you kind of get your grip and you don't care if the other person gets another grip. It's almost like a bit of a chess match, because it's like, oh yeah, you got that, but I'm going to get rid of it. And it's mentally stimulating, but it's also, and some people, especially new people, come in and they don't realize that they don't have to go 100% all the time. But in Muay Thai or boxing and stuff, your reflexes have to be sharp. Someone throws a punch, you got to be able to block it. Someone throws a kick, you got to block it while also retaliate. Like, you know what I mean? It's milliseconds with Muay Thai, while it's probably 3 or 4 seconds with Jiu-Jitsu sometimes, unless you're in a scramble. Because you started off in MMA, so you probably had that explosive kind of Jiu-Jitsu style in the first place.
Of course, because it was no gi.
Yeah.
It had to be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Has it been weird to kind of transition to, like, have you had to change your grappling styles with the gi because people can hold on to you and just kind of not stall but keep you at bay a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Everything changed when I put a gi on.
Yeah.
The no gi, I picked that back up fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But obviously you got to make adjustments when you've got a gi on, and that was very frustrating. So the first year or two was
pretty full on.
Yeah, just frustrating.
Yeah.
But challenges are good.
Yeah, that's good. Are many of the Hammers guys doing jits now?
A bit more and more every now and then. Yes.
Yeah. Like traditional jits as opposed to like no, because I've seen some of the MMA classes, and I think some of the Muay Thai guys are going, or guys and girls are all going over there.
Yes, yeah. Some of our higher ranks from the Muay Thai system actually are going over and doing the basic jits, putting gis on. So yeah, it's great. And
it's interesting.
Part of the reason is because we've obviously developed upstairs now. So for those who don't know, we've developed 5 extra training areas upstairs. So extra 1,000 square meters or however big it is. So you can actually look across into the other training area, which is great. Yeah. So that's how the attraction happened for a few of them. So, but yeah, more on that the better.
It's so, like, for those that haven't seen Hammers, go onto hammersgym.com.au, because it's just so insane when you actually look at the floor space that you guys have got here. And it started off, like, when you think about where it was before, and it was primarily Muay Thai with a kind of mini gym, and there was an upstairs bit that some people use for the Jiu-Jitsu, and it was kind of like primarily a Muay Thai place. But the new place is just ridiculous. The literal top of the art gym equipment, full size boxing ring, Muay Thai ring, flooring space downstairs, this is all just downstairs, caged area, cycling, yoga, boxing, sauna, gym, and then you expand it upstairs after all that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, anyone who hasn't seen it, it's just probably one of the biggest and best gyms in Australia. And I'm not just talking floor space. I'm talking like the quality of the gym and the instructors and everything. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I would say the virtual tour doesn't do it complete justice, but it's the second best thing to actually being here.
Yeah. Well, come to an open day, because it's just like, even the open day, you can kind of see it and kind of get a taste for what it's actually like. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, but the gym's got a great system, always offering, anyone that wants to come down, free trials, free 7-day pass on trying any martial arts they want. They do jiu-jitsu, the Muay Thai, anything they like, the weights.
Karate as well.
Yeah, karate as well. It's got something for everyone now. So that's been a drive for a long time. So and boxing technique classes now too, which is great. And
now as well, and it was so weird, like, it's one of those serendipitous things, like Definition as well. They've moved their entire client base over here, which is more bodybuilding and strongman competition type stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been fantastic to have those guys come over.
Again, it's a whole new kind of like specialty that you guys have got into. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like name a physical activity that people do, and you've probably got a room full of it here.
Yeah, you know, all the Olympic lifting platforms at the back. Pretty much everything, I think.
So good. It's amazing. One of the things as well that was very interesting when I came across to Hammers originally, I probably haven't been here for about a year and a half or so, was the curriculum that he's got in place. And so if you think about like a traditional Muay Thai system, it's basically just train. Like they'll teach you certain technique. Well, sorry, and actually correct me if I'm wrong here, but from my understanding, it's basically you just learn all the techniques, and there might be slightly more advanced techniques that you won't have access to just because you're not flexible enough or that you're not technically savvy enough, I suppose. But Hammer's really broken it down into different singlets, which is almost like a belt system, which he's got a very strict curriculum around it about what you must be able to do to get to the next singlet. There's a testing portion. It's a very traditional karate style kind of grading system. Give us your thoughts on that, I suppose, first of all.
The thoughts, when I first came to Hammer's Gym, I hadn't been exposed to a grading system, especially not in Muay Thai. So being a part of it was great. You can see the differences like night and day. Like the students here, a lot of them don't understand what it's like at other gyms who don't have a system or a curriculum, because it's so different. It just brings so much more benefits for the student. The student starts in 12 months' time. You say, hey, they might ask their coach, hey, am I any better than I was 12 months ago? You know, what do you think?
And it's objective.
Exactly right. Another gym who doesn't have a system, hey coach, am I any better from 12 months ago? I'm not sure, Jimmy. I don't know. I think you're better, but I can't tell you definitely. So there's just when this system Mark first made, almost 25 years ago, when that first got made for Muay Thai, of course there was a lot of backlash, there was a lot of skepticism about it. Yeah, of course, because no one thought it was the proper way. Everyone thought, no, if you've got to train Muay Thai, you just got to kick pads really hard and fight. And obviously that might suit a fighter fine, because they can just work with their select group of people and fight. But for the average person or someone who wants to learn the art without getting into...
Because not everyone's going to be a fighter.
Exactly.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Yeah, so...
And it also shows progress as well, like going from a white to a blue and a blue to a yellow, I think it is.
Blue to red, red to yellow.
Red to yellow, yellow to green, green to brown, brown to black. Like, it shows that progress. And it's like, you should be proud of yourself that if you're sticking around and taking away time from, watching Netflix and spending time with your boyfriend, girlfriend kind of thing, you should actually feel proud that you are progressing throughout the belt system. But also, it gives you the assurance that you're not going to be learning anything too advanced too quickly. Like, the thing that it might make you impatient coming into as a white singlet and learning exactly how to throw a punch perfectly and exactly how to do everything properly. But in the end, when you start getting towards blue and upwards, you're very thankful that you learnt those foundations really well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great for retention. So it'll keep people learning the art longer, as opposed to going to another gym, getting disheartened by jumping into the ring too early, getting punched up, and like, oh, this isn't for me, leaving. Whereas they could have, if they tried it with a different gym, they would have had a lot longer sort of pathway with it and achieved more. It's just like night and day, and it looks after people coming up into competition better as well. Because where I started, it was sink or swim. You sink or you swim. That's it. You get thrown in the deep end. The fights where you can knock them out. That's it. That's all the option we had in Queensland. So.
But it's interesting as well that people go, like, if you think about it critically, Hammer creating this system, if it wasn't going to work, then he wouldn't have good fighters. Right?
Exactly right, yeah.
I think it's been proven pretty conclusively that he's got some fantastic fighters. Yourself, River, Sam, a few of the other guys, Chris, Butcher. It's one of those things that I don't know how anyone can dispute the fact. It might not feel like it's a traditional martial art in the traditional Muay Thai way, but you can't say that it's not producing, one, great fighters, but also great retention for people that aren't fighters and just want to learn the art, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Like from a personal point of view, from myself coming across into the system, it helps with balance. You know, just kicking pads or bags and sparring won't necessarily expose your balance imperfections. Yeah. Whereas
like pulling your kicks so that you're not spinning all the way around if you don't kick, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Which again is something that I'd done Muay Thai at another place before, and it was just like you said, kick the bag as hard as you can, as many times as you can in the next 5 minutes. It's basically like a circuit almost. But
exactly.
Yeah, but learning to pull your kick, commit to a kick without over-committing to a kick, from a good technique perspective, was very important. It was something that I learnt within the first week or something, I think it was.
Exactly right. Yeah, there's still a lot of gyms out there that, you know, and I understand it might be hard to make your own system and develop everything, and it's a lot of time and effort. So I'm not going to say ignorance, but there's a lot of gyms that just can't be bothered doing that. But in saying that, they're not reaping any benefits of more than they could as well. Look
at the Bang Muay Thai system. Yes. Same kind of thing. Like, there's obviously issues that people have with online learning, with a tactile skill like jiu-jitsu or MMA or kickboxing, but you can't deny that the thinking and the structure around it is there. Yes. And if you had someone that was proficient in kickboxing but they followed that curriculum, I think the retention rates would be ridiculous for people coming in. It'd be awesome.
Exactly, yeah.
And you're developing a similar curriculum for MMA?
Yes. So you know, MMA is a hard thing to run as a system because there's so many elements to it, right? So I've actually sat down with Dion Perkins as well, and one of my training partners, Luke Heats, as well, and we've gone together and sort of made a system. Again, just in the footsteps of the Muay Thai curriculum, to give people a pathway and some goals to reach, and not feel like they get overwhelmed by too much and feel like they haven't gotten any better in a period of time. So that's something that I've been working very hard on for the last few months. And there's a lot of gyms that put it in too hard basket. So you go to a gym and you'll be like, oh, here's the MMA class. And it's like, what are we doing? And it's like, oh, it's just a fitness circuit. If you want technique, go do BJJ, go do Muay Thai. That's what are you here for if you want technique. So I believe there's going to be a lot more shift towards having a proper structured MMA system in a lot of clubs. But, you know, there's a lot of clubs you go to and their main background is Taekwondo. It might be just Jiu-Jitsu. And then you're basically getting that type of class with a few punches. So it's been a good mix of bringing my Muay Thai background, combining it with Dion's Jiu-Jitsu experience and creating something based off that.
It's almost like organised chaos, like, because anything can happen in a fight, and if you basically have to create a curriculum for someone who's never done any MMA or Jiu-Jitsu before. What's a good position? What's a bad position? How do you get from a bad position to a good position? Why do you want to hold that position? And then there's it's a point-based system, so you want to stay on top. You don't want to necessarily work from underneath. There's so many different things that you have to take into account with it. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you know, for example, you don't bottom half guard. You know, maybe getting punched or elbowed. You don't have to give them every answer in the book. You just got to give them one that works well. And that they can drill. And then maybe on the next level you give a more advanced one that's going to work a bit better and have a counter to it. This is where these curriculums come under fire a little bit. They're like, oh, how can you structure it, do it like this? But it's not about teaching everything. It's about teaching fundamental things that are actually going to make a difference. And that's the whole point of it. So
have you been looking at other people's MMA curriculums if they do have it out there?
Absolutely.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, just see how they structure it and and stuff, and see whether it's something you can adapt to your own or
because as you can imagine, there's barely any. Looking over, I think I had a read through the Winklejohn stuff, Jackson Winklejohn stuff, on their online stuff.
Is that all readily accessible? Or do you have to buy it and
to an extent? I can't remember how exactly I read it, but
but there is a version floating around probably online or something like that.
Absolutely. It's all online, I'm pretty sure. So just looking at that stuff and seeing how they do things, and it's just great to have something to look off, because you know what, maybe a few years ago, if we tried to do this then, there wasn't anything to look off. And if it was something to look off, it'd be incredibly biased just towards one martial art, and you wouldn't be able to gain that much from it. But yeah, it's all developing.
Like that Jackson Winklejohn and like Faraz Sahabi kind of gyms and stuff like that. I remember like even a few years ago, I was saying traditionally you used to have to go to like a jiu-jitsu club and a Muay Thai club and a wrestling club and like fitness club, but now they've got these like MMA super gyms like Rory McDonald coming out of it, just knowing how to fake a jab to go to a takedown as opposed to learning how to jab, learning how to take down, and then chain it together. Like, it's just the next generation of kind of athletes coming through is just phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, obviously at the professional level, but obviously they've got some sort of system, and that's going to naturally flow through, and people will just pick it up a little bit easier at the amateur level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just you got to think about when you first started your journey, when you walked into a gym. How were you treated when you first started?
I was a natural.
Perfect. How did you progress in the first little while?
Yeah.
Like from my own personal experience, I got bashed for like 6 months solid.
Yeah.
And the only reason I got stopped getting bashed was just to get to a level where I could stop them doing it.
Yeah.
And some of the guys were bigger than me, better boxers.
Yeah.
But I endured that punishment short term to get better faster, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's not something that I would wish on anyone starting today, or any relative or friend that I recommend to start. No way. No way.
But it's like that whole that cycle of unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, unconscious competence, where it's just sort of like at the start you don't know what you don't know, and then you know what you don't know, then you know what you know, and you don't have to think about it anymore, and you're just competent no matter what. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, like, what's the future for you now? Like, have you got any MMA fights coming up? Have you got any Muay Thai fights coming up? Anything you want to shout out?
We're going to get set up on our Hex slate this year.
Yep.
But I had a bit of a shoulder problem, and I've had to pull that one out. So just starting back on the rehab and everything, like shoulders are a tricky thing. So just rehabbing that up and sort of just keeping in shape and on the lookout now. So as for next year, there's some exciting opportunities I've heard about already. So next year just
and you'll be doing still Muay Thai and MMA as well.
Just MMA.
Just MMA.
Just want to focus on MMA
cool.
at this stage. You see a lot of fighters bouncing back and forth, and it ends up a little bit of a style of a dog's breakfast sometimes. So just want to focus on sort of progressing with the one sport at the one time. We'll give it a shout out when it does all come out. Whenever the news comes out and you're fully healed up and stuff, let us know and we'll absolutely.
give it a shout out.
All over Facebook and Insta, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
That's right. That's one thing I had to ask you. What's your thoughts on the Conor Khabib? Give us a rundown.
Oh, dude. It's like, on one side, like, I'm a massive Khabib fan. I think if you look at all of his other fights and how he's handled them, very, very respectful. And I think that Conor goes a little bit too far with some of his comments sometimes. And like, even in some of like the pre-fight talks and conferences and stuff, you're just like, that's not, like, I know that he's trying to sensationalize and arc it up, but it's unbelievably disrespectful. I don't know, man. I think that regardless of that, there's no right in what Khabib did going after Dylan Dennis. Like, if you've just beaten the guy in a fight, you've just proven him wrong. You can say whatever you want after that and just say, he's a dirtbag, I'm not going to shake his hand afterwards anyway, and he deserved everything that he got going to him, and I hope he gets beaten again. You can trash talk him back, like, at the post-fight talk, but to just leap over, jump into the crowd, his teammates go after Conor bare knuckle in the ring afterwards, I think it's completely legitimate that Dana, I think he's holding his fight purse, potentially stripped of his title. I think his green card is even at risk at the moment. And his MMA mates that jumped in and knocked on Conor in there, I think it's fair that they're being kicked out. At the same time, when Conor was doing this with Ray Borg, like throwing the chair in the bus and hitting Ray Borg's eye. And,
double standards, huh?
Yeah, like Rose Namajunas is apparently had to go to therapy a lot, and Michael Chiesa, there's just so much stuff that he got a slap on the wrist, really. He got arrested, but he didn't really get any fines or anything like that. And then Khabib's done it, and it's just, the world is over. And you almost see, all these casual fans coming out of Conor going, oh look, see, Khabib's the bad guy. I don't care if he won. Like he did that. It's like, yeah, have you been following like what's been happening, like what he's been saying and what he did like several months ago?
You're right. It's a bit double standards.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong. Like I think that he was wronged and he shouldn't have done what he did. But at the same time, don't make it out like Conor's a saint. Like it's just, and I suppose it's a bit of a lukewarm answer, but it's sort of like I think they're both equally in the wrong with that. It's shit. Do
you feel like the onus is a little bit on the UFC as an organisation?
Yes.
Letting it go that far?
100%. Well, they couldn't have known that Khabib was going to jump over or anything like that, and obviously they had all the right security there and all that kind of stuff, but it is a sensationalist sport at the moment, and it's, like, I was talking to someone about this the other day, someone at work, and I was saying that, like, in a sport, you have a ranking system, and the ranking system is very clear in how people climb the ranking system, and so if I beat you, I'm above you, and like so it's almost like there's a very clear path to the championship. Like AFL, there's a ladder board, and whatever the score is will bring you up to the top. In MMA, it's not like that because the rankings are determined by the UFC, not by another commission. And so even if someone is number 4 in the world and someone's number 12 and number 12 wins, the 4 could still technically be, but like maybe they go down to 6 and the 12 goes to an 8, even though they've beaten them. And so
those ranking systems are a bit weird sometimes.
And I think sometimes they do get manipulated for entertainment purposes,
yes.
Particularly with the purchase by WME. Like it's an entertainment company. So again, I understand why they're doing it because they need to make their investment back. $4 billion is a lot of money, but then don't be surprised when this stuff comes out of it. Yeah.
And I guess there's good points to it as well. Like, Conor's attracting a lot more casual fans who wouldn't watch it to the sport. And that's in turn, I guess, helping us all out, getting bigger purses and etc. So, yeah, there's good points to it as well. But yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, it also allows you to make up dream matchups like super fights and, Bisping and GSP and all that. You can make those fights when before, if it was a legitimate sport, they'd have to go from the bottom or from an intermediate up. So, as much as I don't like parts of it, but I also know that there are big benefits to it as well. So it's good on that end, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but what a show!
Yeah,
like, I just want to see a good
Tony
fight.
Ferguson and Pettis was unbelievable. I was not expecting that. I thought that Ferguson would destroy him, but it was competitive. It was entertaining. It was maybe Ferguson's got the same kind of gene that you've got in terms of like that forward mentality. I'm not going to lose because he was just going for it.
Oh, there's a lot of fighters like that. Diego Sanchez for one. I just watched one of his fights recently against a tall, a big English lad.
Yeah,
almost like so much bigger than him.
Yeah,
and but he just the whole 15 minutes he did not stop.
Yeah,
and there was almost like a big grunt in every shot he threw.
Dude,
the work rate was just incredible.
I still remember watching The Ultimate Fighter. He's like standing outside like the thunder, and he's like trying to channel the thunder. I'm like, oh my god. And like I think one of the first, maybe not the first, but one of the first UFCs I ever watched was Diego Sanchez and Clay Guida. Mm-hmm. I was like, what is this sport? This is just bananas. They went nuts for 3 rounds, and Clay just took an absolute beating from Diego. It was just phenomenal. Yeah. He's one of my all-time favorites. Like he's dropped off a little bit now, but I like the fact that he's so adamant about being a clean fighter and that he's very respectful and all that kind of stuff. He's phenomenal. But yeah. I think
most likely he's coming in here soon, right?
No way.
Yes.
What's there, a seminar?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's close to being confirmed that he'll be shortly within the next few months, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Hopefully
I can get him on the podcast.
Yeah, hopefully set it up in here. But yeah, like it's been a good year for that. Like obviously we had George St. Pierre a couple of months ago here, and that was fantastic. He showed some great stuff, and it was just sort of just a everyone was having fanboy moments. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Diego, fantastic as well. So yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll probably come along to that one. That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be all over Facebook. Don't worry about that.
Jeez, that's so cool. All right. Well, we'll probably leave it there. Thanks again for your coming on, Brock. Number 4, fourth guest.
Fourth guest, yeah.
Pretty happy with that.
Maybe I could be 24th then.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, I'll definitely have you back on, especially if you got a fight coming up as well.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
All right, awesome. Thanks, mate.
All right, thanks, heaps.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. This podcast is just getting off the ground, so if you liked what you heard, please consider rating us on iTunes, liking our Facebook page, or subscribing on YouTube. And if you've got any other comments or suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to post me up on the Facebook page, and we'll try to incorporate people's feedback.